Hi everyone. So welcome to the live stream today. Really excited for having you on the stream as we continue with our discussion for the ICAG November 2025 examination. It's a live Q&A session, so I'm going to be answering some questions and also giving you some strategies in terms of the various things that you must understand as you prepare for the examination. Now, a few questions here I need to go through quickly. This was a question from our previous live stream, which came on TikTok from Professor. He asked the question, can I use a year to write? That is the ICAG. Now, technically, it depends on your schedule. It depends on your timeline. It depends on what you are coming to the ICAG with. So let's start with some preambles. Let's say you are coming from the into the ICAG with your first degree. Now, if you are coming with your first degree in accounting, okay, accounting, then it means that you are going to be exempted from level 1 and then 2 papers in level 2. So you'll be left with 4 papers in level 2 and then the 4 papers currently also in level 3. So in total, you're supposed to write 8 papers, then you become a chartered accountant. And so there are 3 examination dates also within a year. That is March, July, and November. And so if you do the maths and you study well, all other things being equal, it means that you can take, say, 2 papers in one sitting, another 2 papers, it means you are done with the level 2, 2 papers, 2 papers. It means in less than 2 years, you should be able to finish with the program. Now, this is subject to the fact that you sit for each examination date and you are passing the exam. Now, if you sit for the exam and you are passing, then certainly you're going to become a chartered accountant in less than 2 years. So that is the timeline on the average. And sometimes it requires you to set that ambitious target sometimes to say that, hey, based on my schedule A, B, C, D, I want to finish within 2 years. Now, other times also you have to be realistic as to the time available to you per your schedule. So for instance, maybe you are somebody who is busy, maybe you are married, you have children, and you also have other responsibilities. You work, maybe you are a pastor at church, or you have other responsibilities you are undertaking. Then maybe you will not have a lot of time to sit down to study. And so in that case, you may spread the goal across 2 or 3 years. Again, it all depends on your schedule. Now, if you are coming with your MBA in accounting, MBA accounting and finance, then it is likely that you are going to be exempted from level 1 and then 4 papers in level 2 or maybe 5 papers in level 2, so that you would have to write just public sector accounting in level 2. That way, if you are coming in with your MBA accounting and finance, it means you have only 5 papers to go, a paper in level 2 and then the other 4 papers in level 3. And so that means that, again, you could do that within a year, subject to the fact that each examination date, whatever exam that you sit for, you are passing the examination. So in all, what we are saying is that it will depend on time, it depends on your schedule, and it depends on what your goals are. And so, Professor from TikTok, that is the answer to the question that I will say. You can do it within 2 years. At least 3 years, you should be able to finish, subject to the fact that you prepare well, have a good community, have a good mentorship, get access to quality materials, and then be guided to be able to pass the examination. So that is what you must understand when it comes to that area as to the timeline on how long it will take for you to pass the examination. I see some of you guys joining. You are welcome. This is a live Q&A session. And so if there are any questions you have, something you want me to share my thought on, you put it in the comment section or the chat for me. I'm going to be providing you with the answers and give you the guidelines that you need in order for you to prepare for the examination and ultimately pass the exam. So let me bring up my screen quickly so that we can get excited into the discussion. So in the previous session, we started with a discussion where we spoke about the breakdown of the things we need to understand, and how the exam structure is for, say, financial reporting, and the various things that you must understand there. So what I want to do quickly is to take us into some other discussion, some other areas that we must understand generally when it comes to the examination, and then provide you with some strategies on how you have to revise, prepare, and put yourself in the position to go into the exam hall and ultimately pass the examination. So as we mentioned, just a quick recap on financial reporting, corporate reporting. The strategy is going to be simple, and that is going to be that you are going to be solving or the answering in the exam or all the written questions. And so we're going to be having 20 marks theory questions, and those theory questions will be coming in from the issue in respect of, give me a sec, let's see if I'm in the right slide for myself. ERM. Okay, yeah, that's good. So that 20 marks will be a theory question, and those theory questions will be spanning across a number of issues. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Yeah. So these are the theories that you have to focus on going into the exam hall for financial reporting, corporate reporting. So integrated reporting, data analytics, blockchain, that is IT related issues, some accounting standards, because we may have a question on the accounting standards, sustainability issue, governance and ethics, consolidated financial statement, and then certainly business reorganization. And so, as I mentioned, the strategy is simple. You're going to first answer the theory questions. From there, you take it a step further to go and do the evaluation of financial statement. From there, you can look at those various other issues that you have to understand in respect of maybe the standards, and then consolidated financial statement will be your last but one question in that regard. And so the big question we then have to ask ourselves is, okay, what about the other subjects? What are some of the things we need to be mindful of in respect of the other subjects? So let's talk briefly about public sector accounting. So when it comes to public sector accounting and finance also, quite a simple area, and there are some core things that we need to understand. Yes, in the exam, or question one is going to be on preparation of financial statement. You don't need a miracle on that because that is going to be there. Now, this can be the preparation of financial statements on the consolidated fund, meaning the country as a whole, or for a covered entity, a metropolitan, municipal, a district assembly, something like that. Question two is going to be on the IPSAS. So we're going to have dedicated 20 marks questions on the accounting standards, that is the International Public Sector Accounting Standards. And you have to be on the lookout to be able to provide an answer in respect of that. Then we come to question three, and this is going to be changing a little bit based on the context of the question. Question three may be coming in from evaluation of financial statement. And this evaluation of financial statement area, there are three things there that the examiner can bring one of them, and that is common size analysis. Okay, common size analysis. Number two, ratio analysis. And then number three, budget variance analysis. Okay, budget variance analysis. And so those are the issues that you need to understand there when it comes to dealing with the evaluation of financial statement area. One of them will be there. Then you come to Q4, and that is going to be budgeting in the public sector and public expenditure and financial accountability framework. Public expenditure and financial accountability framework. So those are another area we need to understand. Then question 5 will be governance in the public sector. So you see that each aspect of the syllabus, governance in the public sector and conceptual framework and regulatory framework. So each aspect of the syllabus, there is something coming in when it comes to public sector accounting and finance. And so what is the strategy in public sector accounting and finance as well? The strategy for public sector accounting and finance is also pretty direct or pretty simple at the end of the day. What does that mean? It means that in the exam hall, you want to attempt all the theories because there's going to be theory questions in the exam hall. So you want to answer all the written questions. From there, based on your understanding, you can go in and look at evaluation of financial statement based on what we have available. And then you can go to the other calculation areas like the IPSAS, because the IPSAS will be a mixture of theory and calculation in that level, in that question too. Then you can attempt the preparation of the financial statement as your last or last but one question. That is the idea in respect of that. And so in the public sector accounting and finance also, each aspect. Now, one thing you must understand is that you cannot say, hey, I like this aspect of the syllabus, and so I'm going to focus on this aspect of the syllabus, and when I focus on that aspect of the syllabus, boom, I can go into the exam and pass the examination. No, there is nothing like focusing on an aspect of the syllabus, because the questions are going to be cutting across the entire syllabus, and each part of the syllabus, there is going to be a question coming in from there. And these are the 5 things that you're going to be seeing in the syllabus or in the exam or when it comes to public sector, accounting, and finance as well in that particular case. So, big discussion then will be, okay, what are we supposed to look out for as we are going into the exam hall? You see, many a times when people ask questions like that, oh, Nhyira, so like, what am I supposed to look out for? I'm like, there is nothing to look out for. You must understand what is going on and have an understanding of what you have to focus on generally and optimize your chances of passing the examination. Because there is nothing like, oh, Charlie, public sector, if you can do this and this and that, you pass the examination. No. It's spread across. So financial statement preparation is there. Evaluation of financial statement is there. Issues in respect of the IPSAS taking center stage. Budgeting is there. PFI is there. And then governance in the public sector, crucial areas. Very important. So your goal as a student is to make sure that you understand each of these areas. But a strategy is to optimize yourself in such a manner that as you are going into the exam hall, you are going to answer all the written questions first. From there, you can go into the various calculation-related questions so you can put yourself in the position to go into the exam or write the exam with confidence and then pass the examination. So when it comes to public sector also, these are the things that we must understand. Now, there is a little breakdown to each of these areas that we must know about, but I may come back to this later on in the discussion. So let's come to management accounting. When it comes to management accounting also, there are a number of things that we must understand. Management accounting is designed in such a manner that, again, the examiner is going to be walking through the syllabus and there are going to be questions coming in from all aspects of the syllabus. What does that mean? It means we're going to be having question 1 coming up, and that is going to be on performance management. That is question 1, performance management. And basically, that question 1 area can either be on the concept of divisional performance measurement, so divisional performance measurement, or we can talk about the whole organizational performance measurement. Now, that is using either the balance scorecard or the Fitzgerald and Moon building block. Okay? Then we can talk about the concept of transfer pricing. that you must understand. Then certainly performance measurement in the public sector, so not-for-profit organizations. So the question 1 area for management accounting, 2 or 1 of these will be in the exam hall for 10 marks. Okay? 2 or 1 of these will be in the exam hall for 10 marks. And you have to be on the lookout to understand it very well at the end of the day. And that's 20 marks coming in the exam hall that you must know about. Then we go to the issue in respect of budgeting. Yes. Management accounting budgeting. Then you go to variance analysis. Okay? Then you go to short-term decisions. Now, there are a lot of short-term decisions here that the examiner can bring. Okay? So we have make or buy. We have shutdown. We have relevant cost analysis. We have limiting factor. We can bring in the throughput principle. So throughput accounting. Okay? So make or buy, shutdown, relevant costing, limiting factor analysis. Then we can also bring in, what else? Make or buy, shutdown, relevant costing. Quite maybe 2 more to go. When I remember, I'll bring them up for you in that case. But short-term decisions. Break-even analysis. How could I forget that? Okay, break-even analysis. Or what we call cost, volume, profit analysis. And so when it comes to break-even analysis, another crucial area. Now, these short-term decisions, the examiner is going to be getting excited to bring either 1 of them or 2 of them in the exam hall. But whether we like it or not, short-term decision will be in the exam hall. And this is where you're going to be applying the marginal costing principle. Okay, we have the pricing decision there. That's purely a rating area. Okay, pricing decision. Then we can talk about the outsourcing decision. Also a rating area. So all these are short-term decisions, short-term related issues that you have to be mindful of as you are going into the exam hall. And so your ability to be able to understand them will play a crucial role in passing the examination. Then we come to the role of the management accountant in the public sector, or if you want, management accounting in the public sector. Management accounting in public sector. So when it comes to management accounting also, the examiner is going to be coming from all of these thematic areas, not forgetting those other issues. So there are other issues that you must understand, like the contemporary approaches to management accounting. Contemporary approaches to management accounting. And then models of evaluation. Models of evaluation. So under the models of evaluation, this is where we are talking about issues such as benchmarking, okay, total quality management, just-in-time system, value chain analysis, okay, then business process reengineering, re-engineering, among others. So when it comes to management accounting, these are the key issues. Now, the examiner is going to be bringing questions on each of these key areas. So it is not again like pick and choose, like, okay, if I want to pass the management accounting examination, then I can focus on just A aspect, or I can focus on B aspect, or I can focus on a certain aspect, and then boom, I can go to the exam hall and au revoir, mon ami, I can pass the examination. No, sir, you're likely to fail the exam. So each of these aspects in management accounting, the examiner is going to be bringing questions. But a key thing you must understand will be the overall structure of the examination. The overall structure of the examination. It depends on how excited the examiner is, but broadly, we're going to have written, or if you want, comment questions. That is to say, theory questions, as well as computational, or if you want, calculation questions. Now, depending on how the examiner is getting excited for the examination date, a number of things can happen here that we must understand. Number one, the examiner can say that, okay, he wants to do 30% theory, 70% calculation. Okay? So we could do 30%, the examiner could do 30%, and then 70% calculation. What does that mean? He can do 40% and then 60%. He can do 20% and then 80%. All I am trying to tell you is that there will be theory or written questions in the management accounting examination. And so as you are going into the exam, the strategy is going to be, when you get to the exam hall, you take a deep breath, read through all the questions thoroughly, and answer all the written areas as per the syllabus. And so if you check here, in performance management, there are a lot of theories there. Under budgeting, there are theories there. In standard costing and variance analysis, there are theories there. Short-term decisions, there are theories there. The management accounting or management accounting in public sector, there are theories there. Then we come to contemporary approaches to management accounting, models of evaluation. All those areas are theory issues. So in the exam hall, there will be some theories. I don't know what the examiner is going to do in the next examination dates that you are going, but there are going to be some written questions. And your strategy will be to take out all the written questions as quickly as possible so that you can save some time and then come and spend it on the other areas. So that's the first thing you must understand, the overall structure of the exam. Yes, it is not fixed. Unlike financial reporting, corporate reporting, where we know that we are going to have at least 20% questions coming up in the exam hall. In management accounting, it varies. So some examination dies 35-65, some examination dies 20-80, some the examiner does 40-60. But what it means is that we are guaranteed of getting some theory questions coming in the exam hall that you have to be mindful of. And that is very crucial as we are going into the exam in respect of the management accounting. So what are the key things you need to really be mindful of for the management accounting examination? Number one will be your understanding of the principles and concepts. So understanding of basic principles in management accounting. Now, when I say understanding of basic principles in management accounting, permit me to take this to the next slide. When I say understanding the basic principles in management accounting, what do I mean? In management accounting, there are a number of basic concepts that you have to be mindful of. The first one is the issues in relation to cost classification. Don't go into the management accounting examination without understanding of cost classification. So you must understand cost classification. Because cost classification is going to set us up to be able to prepare the cost card or the cost sheet, which is fundamental in the management accounting. Cost classification will help us to deal with other issues. So this will help us in preparation of the cost card or the cost sheet, depending on where we are coming from, cost card or cost sheet. We could be asked to also deal with overhead issues under cost classification. Overheads may be there because the indirect expenses must be accounted for. The second core principle you must understand will be the issue on, now under the overheads, let me clarify something. Overhead absorption, it's going to be crucial. O/H is overhead. So you must understand overhead absorption pretty well. Okay, so overhead absorption, very important there. The second thing that we must understand there in management accounting is the marginal those costing techniques. The costing techniques, that is 1, marginal costing, 2, absorption costing, and then 3, activity-based costing. Do not walk into any management accounting examination without having a thorough understanding of these costing techniques. Why is that important? Because the marginal costing principle will be needed under short-term decisions. Not only that, the marginal costing principle will be needed under variance analysis. Not only that, the marginal costing principle will also be needed under transfer pricing, performance measurement. So, understanding the marginal costing principle, because when it comes to calculation of overhead variances in variance analysis, it depends on the environment the entity is operating within. That will guide us in terms of the way the overhead variances will be calculated. Same thing happens to the sales variances. It will depend on the environment we are in to be able to deal with the sales volume variance. Then transfer pricing. The marginal costing principle will come up there because if we have a limited capacity or unlimited capacity, all that will guide us on what should be the minimum transfer price that the selling division can charge the buying division. Right? That is crucial there in that regard. So that is the issue there and why we need to understand marginal costing. Then we come to absorption costing. You need to understand absorption costing because of preparation of the profit statement as well. So we could be asked to prepare the profit statement for the marginal costing and absorption costing. Not only that, under budgeting as a topic, when we are preparing the various functional budget and preparing the cost-related budget, coming into the budgeted income statement, we will be needing the absorption costing principle. Under variance analysis, do not forget we will need the absorption costing principle as well under standard costing and variance analysis. So you will need that. You will need that as well there. Then activity-based costing, we could have it as a dedicated question on its own, right? So separate question on its own. Or number 2, we could have it coming in as part of determination of transfer pricing. So before you get into the management, now, what am I trying to do? What I'm trying to say here is that all of these things, we can have them as dedicated question. In other words, there could be a 10-mark question on preparation of the profit statement under marginal costing and absorption costing. There could be a 10-mark question on calculating the cost sheet or the cost for a job using absorption costing or using activity-based costing. So we could have them as dedicated questions on their own that the examiner will be asking us. But whether we have it as a dedicated question or not, the principles underlining these areas, we must know them, have them at our fingertips before walking into that management accounting examination. So if at this point you have problem with cost classification, you don't understand high and low method, okay? If you don't know high and low method, how to use the high and low method to split mixed cost between fixed cost and variable cost, you are in trouble. That's very important there. And you must know the issues in respect of cost behavior under the classification of cost. Knowing fixed cost, variable cost, semi-fixed cost, semi-variable cost, step cost. So really, these are what I refer to as the backbone of management accounting. So before you get or walk into the exam hall, you have to assess yourself and find out, hey, am I good in these areas? Because if you are good in these areas, then you will succeed in the other topical areas that the examiner will be bringing. So key issues, understanding the basic principles, and under the basic principles, cost classification, the things there, costing techniques. The third thing that you need to be mindful of, under the key issues to excel in management accounting, will be the issue about English language. Okay? Speed and accuracy. Management accounting, you know, it's English, right? But if you don't have an understanding of the way the English is going to be structured, then you are likely to walk away with Zokbo when it comes to dealing with management accounting. You are likely to walk away with Zokbo. Why? Because under, for instance, short-term decisions, okay, short-term decisions, each of those short-term decisions there, your understanding of the English language will be coming in. Performance measurement, English. Standard costing variance analysis, English. Short-term decisions, English. So you got to be careful about English language. What does that mean? It means you must learn to hold your breath, read, and work. And that is why we said that to be able to do this, there are three things that you have to be mindful of. Yes, leverage the key summary videos. Okay, our key summary videos, which you can get access to in the Nhyira Premium mobile application. Okay, you can download the Nhyira Premium mobile application on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. So get a summary videos to understand the principles. That is for understanding of the principles. And everything is divided into the various topical issues that you have to be mindful of. So you understand the principle. Then the second thing is exposure to questions. So exposure to practice questions. So you need to expose yourself to a lot of questions. If you want to pass the examination, then you have to expose yourself to a lot of questions. Again, this is where our practice question course will also be helpful. And you can access this on our website as well as in the mobile application. The practice question courses, it's accessible. So you look at the summary videos, understand the basic principles, expose yourself to questions, to now see how the principles apply. Then, as you are doing that, exposing yourself to questions guided like that, now you practice question, and that is self-practice, under time, so that you can work with speed and accuracy. Let me tell you something. In management accounting, your time will not be enough. By the time you realize, Jack, where are you? Before you say, I am here, you're already gone. So before you say, Jack, here I am, you are gone already. So what you need to be mindful of is that you must work under time. And the way you work under time is to expose yourself to questions and solve the questions under time. Now, when I say expose yourself to questions, I'm not just talking about go and download ICAG past questions and solve them. No. Beyond the ICAG past question, expose yourself to questions from ACCA. Expose yourself to questions from ICAN. Expose yourself to questions from SEMA. Get questions from other sources, especially the last 3 examination dates. Depending on when you are watching this video, under the new syllabus, anything under the current syllabus as past questions, you are just looking at it to have an idea about structure. Because nothing there will be coming in the exam or in terms of the structuring of the questions. Topics, yes, they will be there, but when it comes to structuring of questions, there will not be anything there. So that is why your win is not about solving ICAG past questions, but your win is about exposing yourself to questions outside the ICAG past questions. So you get an ICAG question kit or question bank and solve a couple of questions there. If you have my book on management accounting, we have numerous questions in that. Then, in addition to that, if you have access to our practice question courses, you get access to that as well. And that gives you access to a lot of questions. So to pass the management accounting examination, these are the things that you must understand. Know the basic principles: cost classification, overhead, accounting for overheads, the costing techniques, marginal costing, absorption costing, activity-based costing. Then number 3, you got to work on English, speed and accuracy, very important. And the way you master your English is to spend time to understand the principles, prepare your notes, spend time to expose yourself to practice questions by leveraging our practice question courses, which you can get access to on our website, the Nhyira Premium .com website or in the Nhyira Premium mobile application. Then you self-practice some questions. So you sit down, solve questions, set a timer up. Now, because your goal at the end of the day is to close the gap between reading the question and understanding the question. Now, just by the way, you heard about somebody who wanted a bigger gap, okay, in an election, right? The gap to be big. You don't want a big gap because you're not going for an election. You want to close the gap. That is the gap between reading the question, having the understanding, and writing your answers. You want to close the gap because you don't need a big gap if you want to pass the examination at the end of the day. And these are the things that you have to understand when it comes to management accounting as well, as a subject that you are taking yourself into to go into the exam hall, write the exam with confidence, and most importantly, pass the examination at the end of the day. So we've seen the syllable structure and the things we must understand. We've seen the overall examination structure for the management accounting, and then certainly the key issues that we have to be mindful of to pass the management accounting examination. These are the things you must understand about management accounting. As I mentioned, it's a live Q&A session, so if there are any questions, you put it in the comment section or the chat for me in that regard. Just want to see if I can bring my screen up here in that regard. Okay. All right. So that's our discussion on management accounting. and what we need to understand there in respect of that as well on management accounting. Now, so we've looked at financial reporting, by extension with a little on corporate reporting. Then we looked at the issue in terms of the public sector, what we have to be mindful there. And then the last thing is also management accounting, what we have to be looking out there in that particular case. The last thing that probably I will share on the overall is to give you some revision tips in this series. Okay? So some revision tips as we wrap it up. So whatever subject that you are writing, there are some key issues that you have to be mindful of that will be applicable either way. The first thing is going to be you must understand the basic concepts of the subject you are writing. Okay, the basic concept of the subject you are writing. What do I mean by the basic concept of the subject you are writing? For instance, if you are writing financial reporting or corporate reporting, your ability to pass financial reporting or corporate reporting depends on your understanding of the accounting standards. That's all. If you are not strong in the accounting standards, forget it. You will fail financial reporting, you will fail corporate reporting. Because on the average, about 70% of the things that you're going to be seeing in the exam or on financial reporting and corporate reporting will be based on the accounting standards. So you need to be strong in the accounting standards. If you're writing management accounting, there are some basic issues that, whether you like it or not, you must know about them. So for instance, what I mentioned here, cost classification, accounting for overheads, the costing techniques, those are basic issues. So before we get to the bigger discussion of, what is budgeting, what is standard costing, how do you calculate variance, you got to understand the basics of management accounting. Take public sector accounting and finance. Okay, you want to pass public sector accounting and finance? You got to be strong in your IPSAS, International Public Sector Accounting Standards. You got to be strong in this topic, revenue management and expenditure control. You got to understand the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921. Because these three things are the pivot, if you want, the pillar that will hold you in the entire public sector accounting and finance examination. So, are you strong in your IPSAS? Do you understand revenue management and expenditure control? The Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921. Act 921, do you understand it? So, you need to understand. That's the first revision takeaway. Understand the basic concept of the subject. Whatever subject you are writing, there are basic concepts you have to understand. Once you understand the basic concepts, which is the overall picture, now we get down to understand the principles underlining each topic. So now you are coming down. Now you are breaking down to come to the topical issues. So, okay, you are writing financial reporting, the accounting standards. Let's begin the journey. IAS 2, what are the principles? IFRS 15, revenue from contract with customers. What are the principles? IAS 32, financial instrument presentation. When an entity issues convertible loan, what is the treatment? When an entity acquires convertible loan, what is the treatment? You have to understand it. You are writing management accounting. Okay, let's take the topic variance analysis, standard costing and variance analysis. What are the principles? That's the second thing. Understand the basic principles or the principles underlying each topic. Very important there. Now, this is where I mentioned that our key summary videos will be helpful because every subject we have, on our portal, on our website, has the key summary videos that you can get access to. Now, the key summary videos takes everything and gives you the principle. No BS, we go straight to the point and give you the principles so you understand the concept. Because in the exam hall, when you see a question, all you are doing is applying the principles. All you are doing is applying the concept. That's all. So the key summary videos. Then your third strategy is to have an understanding. Even this one should have been number one, but I'm not doing anything in any order though. But understand the overall structure of the syllabus. The structure of the syllabus. This should even be number one. And examination. So there are people who walk into the exam hall and there is a question they see and they are like, where is this coming from? And I'm like, you went to the exam hall without knowing what the exam was like? And they're like, yo, Nhyira, I was doing self-study. That's why. No. You have to know the syllabus. Then you have to know the structure of the exam. And that is what I've been trying to do with you here. We started on financial reporting, corporate reporting, came to public sector, and then did management accounting. So you have to know the syllabus structure and the examination. How is the examination going to be like? How many percentages will be written or comments? What am I to expect in the calculation? What will be the styling of even the questions? You have to work out this. Then revision strategy tip number 4 will be the issue in respect of now going in there and exposing yourself to questions. So you got to practice questions under time. You practice questions under time. Again, this is where our practice question courses also will be helpful for you. So we have practice questions on financial reporting, corporate reporting, management accounting, advanced audit and assurance, all accessible on our website. So after using the summary videos to understand the principle, now you expose yourself to questions. Because yes, you must solve a number of questions to help you to get that level of understanding that you need to go into the exam hall, write the exam with confidence, and most importantly, pass the examination. So yes, understand the basic concepts of the subject you are writing, understand the principle that are underlying each topic, understand the structure of the syllabus and the examination, practice questions, and then certainly you got to control your emotions. Last one, but it's very important. You got to control your emotions. Some of you, during this revision session, you are gripped with fear. You are gripped with anxiety because you feel ill prepared for the examination. You have already prophesied that you're going to fail the exam. You're going to screw it up. But you got to get rid of your emotions. You got to understand that God doesn't give you the spirit of fear, but you have the spirit of power, love, and sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Very important in that case. And so you need to get rid of your emotion. Now, it's normal to be scared sometimes, but you got 10 seconds. Okay? 10 seconds to kill that spirit before it overtakes you. 10 seconds. Because when you are revising or you are learning and you are scared, your brain doesn't work again. Your brain is not working. Again, literally, you are off. Because now, everything is going to be focusing on your heart and your brain cannot function properly. So, although you could understand, the anxiety cripples you. And this is where people are like, yo, I'm learning, but what I'm learning is not sticking. And that is why I said, to prevent this anxiety, you spread your learning. We started lectures 12 weeks ago. There are some people, they are going on leave this week. Some will even take their leave next week. So 3 days to the exam, they will take a miserable leave from their workplace. Then they think they can use some 1 day or some 3 days, attend one magical class somewhere, and then something will be whispered into their ears and something will come upon them and they will be given something magical and they can go to the exam and pass the examination. No, you will fail. It doesn't matter how much anointing oil you drink or where you go and pray. You will fail the exam if you don't put in the work to study, to understand, to practice questions, to work on speed and accuracy, to control your emotions. These are things you develop over time. You cannot do these like, oh, you are sitting down a week to the exam or 1 week to the exam. You are like, yay, I'm going to do this. No. So you need to structure yourself out to put yourself in the position to go into the exam or to pass the examination. So on the overall, these are the tips that I will give you as you are going and as you are trying to put the pieces together. Understand the basic concepts of the subject. Understand the principle underlining each topic. Understand the structure of the syllabus and the examination so you know what to expect in the exam, or practice a lot of questions under time. That is very crucial. And learn to control your emotions because that is important to put you in the position to pass the examination. Let's see, having some comments coming up here. Let's see if I can get them coming in that regard. I think we are also live on TikTok, so if there are any questions as well, TikTok, you can put it in the chat for me, and I'm going to give you an answer. I'm seeing a question coming in from here. Let's see if I can address that real quick. From Abraham Akpese says, hello Nhyira, thanks for the live. I am Abraham. Will deviate a bit with my question. I am planning on starting my CA next year. Would like to register under your mentorship. Kindly share some guidelines. Yeah, you can send us a message on WhatsApp. I think you can see the number on the screen. Okay, not there. Give me a sec. Let's see if I can show that quickly. Yeah, there you go. So Abraham, you can see the number at the bottom right corner of the screen. Send us a message on WhatsApp on that, and you'll be able to be guided. Registration for the March 2026 will be starting on the 1st of November 2025. And so you can start studying using our summary videos, our practice question courses. But live lectures will be starting in the first week of December. So you can have a whole 1 month to start the journey, start studying, getting yourself into the groove before live lectures start. So Abraham, you can reach us on WhatsApp. The number is on the screen, 050-114-9296, and you will be assisted to be able to complete your registration so you can start studying there. All right. So these are the few things that you must understand when it comes to dealing with what it would take for you to pass the examination. Let's see. Also then, sin. Thank you. All right. That's good there. So let me bring back my screen here. Right, so these are the things that you must understand technically when it comes to how you revise and put yourself in the position to pass the examination. Now, as I say always, if you can work hard, spend time, practice a lot of questions, you should go to the exam or and pass the examination. Sorry. You should go to the exam or and pass the examination. Okay? So that's it about that. Gonna wrap up around here today. God willing, Wednesday, I think so. We're going to be meeting and we'll be starting to solve some questions in those key areas under each of the subjects. We started this some weeks ago, so I'm going to be coming back to them as we are now revising for the November 2025 examination. So I'm going to be coming back and then bringing up some few things that you must understand. TikTok, we are going to be coming back on the live stream at 6 p.m., all right, and continue with some discussions on TikTok. So you stay connected if you are going to be interested for some few other things. So TikTok, we are going to be coming live back at 6 p.m. to be able to continue with a discussion from there. So that is it about that. Thanks very much for joining us on the stream today. And as I said, on Wednesday, we're going to be coming back, take the things one after the other, and then start solving questions again on those key areas as we revise properly and put ourselves in the position to go into the exam hall and ultimately pass the examination.